What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Garage Golf Simulator here. This is Turbo Talon Golf. It's Tuesday the 17th of February 2026. I took yesterday off because I was hurting pretty good and I'm kind of getting over this cold. But if you recall the last live stream I did, Sunday night? Couldn't really hit a golf ball, was just getting way too sore. Just being generally stubborn, I'd say. So let's play, at a minimum, let's play FlyinFatKid's League. Birthday Bonanza at Echo Falls. Looks like it's 5,400 yards, Thursday pins. 10-foot gimmies, soft greens, links fairways. Stimps 11, no wind, and we are at basically sea level. Now, if I am able and I'm feeling up to it, we'll play Hosel's League. I can't remember what it said that was at. And I think I've got some TikToks loaded up on the phone. But I don't know. Hey, Foof, how are you? We're playing FlyinFatKid's League at Echo Falls, which is familiar to me, but for some reason I don't remember the course, which I realize sounds pretty stupid. Echo Falls. Yeah, guys, I don't know what this is, but I didn't have to download it. Foof says he's doing good, but he's waiting for the courses to finally open up. As you may or may not know, I am in northern Utah, and I think we're about to get a lot of snow. Well, they say 4 to 6 inches, but weatherman is rarely 100% correct. I did go back and watch Anthony Kim's full 4th round highlights at Adelaide, as for golf's sake suggested, and it was quite inspiring, I must say. I think he came from 5 strokes under to beat Rahm and DeChambeau, and it was pretty inspiring. Yeah, Foof says it was his first win in 16 years. The announcers had this number up. It was like 5,000 some odd days since his last win, and I think that was at in Dallas, circa 2010 or something. He made a really good comeback. But one of the things that I did see, because I don't watch a lot of professional golf, one of the things I did notice is that those guys are draining, well, the guys that are scoring well at least, are draining some pretty long and difficult putts. Not saying that that's going to happen for me today, but should probably pay a little more attention to putting, perhaps practice it more. Okay, that was clearly a very lucky putt. But something I didn't know they were able to do was they're able to put this putting line, they're able to project it on the green, and it shows what the golfer needs to do. It shows what the golfer needs to do to make the putt. The break and the slope and all of that, and I thought that was pretty cool. Never really seen anything like that. Another thing I saw Anthony Kim do was he hit clubs that I was not expecting him to hit. Like on a short par 4, he wouldn't try going for the green. He would just get the ball onto the fairway and give himself a short iron shot into the green, which is not something that I think most amateurs do. They just want to go big or go home with driver, right? That's what I was trying to do there, but I think we've blocked ourselves out instead. But we're just here to have a good time. Not going to get too fired up about this shit. Where's that tree at? Let's just, I could try to punch between these trees, but I think we all know that that's not a great idea and that I don't possess that level of skill. So we're going to do something else instead. Foof is saying I have ability. It was an accident, I promise. So Foof's mentioning Matty Boom Boom. That's the golf sidekick. He's an interesting cat. I think he's South African or something. I've never seen him without sunglasses or something on. But he says some interesting stuff in his videos to the effect of just get a ball in play. And unfortunately, that's easier said than done for a lot of golfers. Another guy who does it quite a bit is that Jimmy Tropicana from Tropicana Golf. And I don't have a problem with either of these individuals, nor would they care if I did. But they basically follow themselves around with a camera and they say, if you know, don't hit near hazards or hit a club that won't reach the water. And it's like, well, no kidding, dude. Of course that's what I'm going to do. But I still don't have that level of control with my clubs to where I can hit 8 out of 10 or 19 out of 20 shots to where I want them to go. So it's a little bit harder. The advice is not as useful because by the time you're able to hit 19 out of 20 shots where you want it, you're not looking at Jimmy Tropicana or Golf Sidekick's channel for advice, because you can basically put a ball where you want it 19 out of 20 times or 8 out of 10 times, right? So I find those guys' advice to be sort of strange, because they're just like, well, duh, stupid, all you got to do is not hit into the water or not hit into the sand trap or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make a ton of sense because I don't have that kind of ball control yet. I'm surprised that was only a double bogey. Bogey. Okay, he's Lithuanian but grew up in South Africa. Foof is a wealth of knowledge, guys. Here's another short Well, it ain't a short par 4, it's a long par 3. No, it's a short par 4. I'm an idiot. I don't trust myself to clear the water, but let's try it anyway. I would like to be in the fairway. But both of those guys and a lot of those YouTube golf personalities they're all saying the same thing. Like, here's what you got to do to shoot under 90 or under 80 or whatever. Well, it's like, well, if I could do the things you were telling me to do, I wouldn't be looking at your channel. Okay, that's wet. So it's kind of frustrating because they make it look so easy, especially the golf sidekick guy. He's a pretty damn good golfer. I couldn't get this club to slice for my life when I was warming up, so that's kind of funny. That's what it was doing when I was warming up. So there you go. Burned a stroke or two, I believe. 31. Foof says he thinks the idea is to build a mindset that gets you out of the urge to hit driver off every tee and that you have to muscle your way through every hole. Yeah, I agree. Usually all that does is create frustration, especially for a guy like me who's a pretty long hitter and wants to get as close to the green as possible, but it ends up backfiring some portion of the time. I can hit a fairway every now and again, but I understand that urge. Foof says fast fairways. They are, I think they're links fairways today. So yeah, they're going to be faster than a greased shit. I just got this G433 hybrid because I had to take the 1 and 2 iron Ping I2 1 and 2 iron out of the bag. They're not useful clubs to me. I don't think a lot of people can strike long irons properly or with any sort of, reliability. I'm not going to say like that's a great shot, but it's in play. We're blocked out more than likely, but the ball's in play. We might be able to do something from here. Foof says it takes a strong man to realize he has limits and you have to play around them in a way that makes your game easier. Decent golf is ugly as hell. That's pretty true. Like I said, I went back and watched the round 4 highlights from Anthony Kim's round, and it was just run-of-the-mill, lots of shots and lots of sand traps. He had a lot of good outs from the sand traps. He also put a lot of golf balls on the green and made some really nice putts. And he missed some easy putts, right? He didn't birdie every hole. Do I have any TikToks for you fine folks on the live stream here? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I feel like I've kind of been portraying myself as a little bit more negative of a person than I actually am. So at least for today, since I'm not feeling very saucy, let's try to not make fun of people and make fun of ideas instead. Because I love to talk shit, but I don't think I'm coming across in a way that's very like positive sometimes. Like when I was talking shit about old girls' Harry Potter glasses, like the TikTok had nothing to do with her glasses or the granola lady. It had nothing to do with any of that. But I chose to make fun of those people's physical attributes, and that's kind of not me. But it could be different tomorrow. Who the hell knows? Okay, this person's saying, girls, being 35 is awesome because the guy who called you fat in college is fucking bald now. What has the world got against bald people? Like, I think I'm pulling it off pretty well here. At least that's what my friends and family tell me. I don't know why people are hating on bald people so much. Okay, we are not going to concentrate on this woman's looks. Let's see what she says. Let me guess, you don't usually date girls with tattoos. You're planning a sleeve but want something with meaning. Your mom would be disappointed if you got tattoos or brought home a woman with visible tattoos. Let me guess, you don't usually date girls with tattoos, but you're planning a sleeve, but you want something with meaning. Okay, guys, if I can't make fun of the way this girl looks, which wouldn't be very hard, I don't even have anything to say here. So Mama was right. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. Okay, here's one. This says, hot take, stay-at-home moms whose husbands cheat should receive alimony for life. I don't know how I feel about that. You should receive something, but I don't think it should be for life. Like, even if you go marry another dude and start another family, you're going to be getting money from homeboy or what? Like, I don't know if I agree with that. All right. There's a few TikToks. There was one we couldn't even do anything with because I don't want to talk too much smack. Foof says he got the one iron to finish the set. The lob wedge is very usable though because it's not like 60 degrees. Factory specs 58. Yeah, it's 57 point something, 58 according to what I have. I can hit the 2 iron, but the factory spec on the 1 iron is 16 degrees. And while the club is a cavity back and it is semi-forgiving, you've got to be able to strike your long irons, and I'm just not in that place. And I'm sort of tired of beating myself up and saying, well, I'm going to play this vintage 1 iron just because. Just because what? So people are like, why are you stupid enough to hit a 1 iron? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is the intent? What is the point? There is no point. I'm just a stubborn old bastard. Right? Guys, that felt really good, but it's headed right, and I'm guessing it's going to be in that bunker. It must have hit near the center of the club, but there just was some other physics going on that prevented it from going where I wanted it to go. That is very unfortunate. Would that happen on a real golf course? I would say plausible. Plausible. We also don't need to be as aggressive because the greens are soft here. You guys, that is precisely why I think this software is janky as fuck. The ball hit the fairway first and the fairways are firm. But a firm fairway in GS Pro is kind of like a basketball court in real life. So instead of stopping soft, it went through the circle. And there we are with a bogey. Also, I saw something yesterday while I was laying around trying to recover. Somebody interviewed that sim golfer Bandsager. He kind of just came out of nowhere and started beating up on JT Walsh and Joe Legowski and all those guys. And he's some guy from Kentucky who doesn't even play real golf. He's exclusively, or at least what he made it sound, he's exclusively a sim golfer, which there's nothing wrong with that. Unless people start thinking that this dude is also posting those kind of scores outside, because he's not. He's not. I don't have any data to back that up, but he's not posting those scores outside. Anyway, the whole story that I wanted to tell was centered around the fact that this dude, this Bandsager guy, I don't know his real name, Bandsager is his handle, but he said that GS Pro, before that he had been playing in simulators with like not very realistic software. And one day he was at a buddy's house or something and they were running GS Pro, and that's what got him into sim golf, was how realistic he thought GS Pro was. And I just had to kind of have a chuckle. It took everything in my being to not leave a comment on that video. All right, guys, that's what we're doing today. There's nothing you can do about it. We can fucking cry over spilt milk, or we can just be glad that we're not OB and move on to the next shot. The trend towards lower loft for wedges is like pro bowlers going from 16-pound bowling balls to 15 and 14-pound. I don't know. I don't bowl enough, but since you bowl and golf, I will trust your judgment there, my friend. Okay, we're hitting out of the rough. Ball's going to want to go left for several reasons here. I don't have, what the hell was that? I don't have a problem with low lofted clubs. I mean, you've got to have low enough loft to where you're able to get the ball down the fairway, right? You're not going to hit like a 40-degree driver, because a 40-degree driver is like a 9-iron or an 8-iron. So you do got to have some loft. Guys, these links fairways are going to plague us for the entire round. It is what it is. I've never played on a links fairway, so I don't know if it's actually like your ball hitting concrete. Somebody's going to have to chime in on that. Foof says, what about bald with no beard? I don't know if you're joking or not, but I'll give you my 2 cents on it. I think obviously head shape has a lot to do with whether you're able to pull off bald or not. But we need to differentiate between big bald and like male pattern baldness where you still kind of let the sides grow out like Patrick Stewart did in Star Trek The Next Generation. Because there's an even smaller subset of men that can pull that Patrick Stewart look off. I cannot. I still grow hair everywhere but in the male pattern baldness zone. And then if I let it grow long enough, I'll start getting a little tuft of hair right here, like Scrooge McDuck. So I think you can pull bald off regardless of whether you have a beard or not, dependent upon if you're letting the sides grow out and you look good with it, like you look debonair, or you just kind of look like an ass clown. So that ain't really for me to say. Foof says if you go from Tiger Woods to GS Pro, then I don't blame him for saying it's super realistic. True, we do probably need more context. And Foof says, gotta love when the power lines and highway overpasses come into play. Yeah, I've never played at a course that didn't have a rule that said if you hit the power lines, you could take your shot again. So the fact that GS Pro doesn't do something to say, at least would you like to take your shot again? Because that shot I took wasn't bad, but it did careen off the power line. But GS Pro isn't going to do anything like that. It's just not, the software's not intuitive enough. Wow, okay. We managed to find that bunker on the right there. And I don't usually, like I said, I don't usually watch a lot of professional golf, but those guys go in a lot of bunkers. A lot of bunkers. And I don't think the golf club manufacturers want you to know that. But Anthony Kim on that 4th round must have hit into fucking 4 or 5 bunkers. He's just got an amazing out. He can get out of them pretty well. And I must say, after watching him he was pretty humble during that round, even though he was beating the shit out of those guys. Turned me into a bit of a fanboy, especially since he's not a young golfer anymore. He was at one point. Went away, came back, you know. It's kind of crazy to me that the ground could be hard enough for the ball to bounce like that in the rough. I don't know. Foof says, so like a petrodactyl nest. I think he might be talking about the hairdo I was talking about, maybe. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty close. And then for golf's sake is in the chat. How you doing, sir? Good to see you. I took your advice and took a day off. It was really difficult. I didn't like it. Foof says that's how frozen ground behaves. Yeah, that's, especially from someone who's been playing a lot of winter golf, he's absolutely correct. Foof doesn't say a lot of stuff that's not absolutely correct. He is a human encyclopedia, and I find it refreshing. Except for that weird video you made us watch, dude. That was really weird. It was catchy, but it was super weird. That Gen Alpha video or whatever. Guys, we're doing really well for who I am, and we are nowhere near striking distance of the leaders. Nowhere near it. Okay, we're going left, we're going right, you name it, but there's no way that ain't going in a bunker. Foof says most of it's useless trivia knowledge. I don't see it that way. I think it's kind of neat that you know things. Like, I know a lot about a few subjects. Other than that, I'm pretty useless. Like, I'm not the guy my buddies call for trivia night, I'll tell you that. And my wife's the same way you are. She knows a lot about a lot. I'm not that guy. I don't strive to be that guy. I've never really done anything to be that guy, so. The one time we needed the ball to hit the fairway before the green, and there you have it. Hole 9. It's breaking pretty good. I'm not very good at reading putts, but I feel like it's going to break so hard. 46 feet. Foof says it's what happens when you get bored a lot of nights and just Google and look on Wikipedia about random things. Most people these days will just sit and doom scroll on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, so it's a good thing, buddy. It's a good thing. It's something to be proud of. You know, I really was not a fan of professional golf because I used to think that it gave people unrealistic expectations about how they should be playing golf. But after I watched that Anthony Kim's 4th round at Adelaide, I was like, these guys do make some good shots, but they also make some shitty mistakes just like we do, you know? I misread that pretty badly. What do we got here, folks? We got 188 to the dog leg, which will leave us a kind of a cute little shot in. Foof says it's easy to go on a Wikipedia deep dive looking at one article, then clicking a link to a related thing. then next thing you know, you've got 20 tabs open starting from just one page. I could get into that. That was a uncharacteristically bad shot, but I think we'll be able to get out of here. What happened there? Over the top with an open club face, huh? Yeah, I think she was open. So we've got to go very high up over this tree, out of deep rough. There's a pretty good chance we're just going to hit a tree here, because that one right there is pretty tall. Back patio golfer, welcome to the chat, says good evening. Shelby just got home from work. Same here. And Foof says there's a game people do like GeoGuessr, but you have to find a specific Wikipedia article only by clicking on hyperlinks from other Wikipedia pages until you get to it, with speed being the idea. Yeah, that probably ain't for me, but I could see that being for a lot of other people, perhaps. Let's just hit the ball here, about 10 feet. We're 2 over again. I'm not too mad about it. Let's see what we got for TikToks here. We're not reading that one. That one's not great. I don't know who this person is, but I did notice she has a bracelet on that says "fuck off," which is kind of very tasteless, especially if she was out in public and say somebody's young children saw it or something. I feel the same way about those "fuck Joe Biden" stickers that people have on their trucks. I obviously don't have a problem with profanity. That's most of the broadcasts I do. But if somebody's going to introduce profanity to young children, it should be their parents, not a bumper sticker or a window sticker or this lady's bracelet. So she says, this Thanksgiving, I'm thankful I'm not a home-wrecking side chick who's proud of causing another woman's pain. You guys, I've obviously never been a woman or a home-wrecking side chick. I've never been a home-wrecking side anything, because I've been married since I was like a teenager. But I can tell you that, and this is going to sound fucked up, this home-wrecking side chick is honestly doing what she thinks is right. And I know that sounds stupid. How could anybody think that being a side chick or cheating on somebody was good? But I don't think when you're doing it that you are thinking of it from that mindset. I think you're maybe looking for a good guy to raise your kids or a guy who's financially stable, because I just don't think that she would be proud of it or want to cause another woman pain. I think this mostly is people thinking they're doing the right thing for themselves or for their children. And I know that's absurd. I'm not an advocate of infidelity or anything like that in any way, shape, or form, but you'll generally find that people are doing what they believe is right in a lot of situations. Like a lot of people talk shit on what the current administration's doing, but somewhere in that, you know, in their heart of hearts, they think they're just doing what's right. Anyway, enough pep talk. Let's see what a smart play on this hole is, because this fairway is pretty narrow. I'm going to just hit the 3 hybrid gently, hopefully. Foof says shit happens is a very popular one, though. In reference to what, dude? I had said so many things in between now and then and now. Guys, I wouldn't say the ball striking is great today, but I think it'll come back as I rest up and recover from my cold and all of that. We were doing really well with the ball striking not too long ago, a week or so ago. But when you consistently overdo it all the time, there's going to be ramifications. There's going to be consequences. I'm 44 years old. I can't be hitting, 1,000 golf balls every day and just not expect something to happen. That was a much better strike. And now on this par 5, we're probably not going to stop in the fairway, but we should be on the green in 3. 52 yards. Foof's talking about a bumper sticker that says shit happens. My grandmother's very religious, and she says that there's 3 cuss words we can say when we're in her house. Hell, shit, and damn. I don't think shit is that bad of a cuss word, honestly, but having the full F word on a bumper sticker or a window sticker that like a child could see in passing, I don't think that's okay. I had learned quite a few cuss words, pretty bad ones from my parents by the time I was a teenager. Foof says the best part of Spanish class was learning all the cuss words. My Spanish teacher's name was Ms. Chavez, and she didn't teach us shit. She taught us by the book Spanish. I think I barely passed that class with like a D. 166 into a soft green. Not a good effort there. Carry should have been 164. We lost 10 yards of carry just for no reason. And I believe we were going downhill. But I don't think that that'd put us in a much better position per se. Foof says his grandpa's Spanish teacher would get mad at him all the time for chewing gum in class, or chewing gum, as he'd say. Chewing gum. Foof says the course is at sea level, which is probably going to account for something. 107, tailwind. Chewing gum. That's kind of funny. And Foof says you have to keep in mind whether or not Mercury is in retrograde or there's a full moon. According to some people, those things matter. You are correct, sir. Today we are playing the how many birdies can you piss away game. And I think we're doing a pretty good job, if I do say so myself. I'd say we're doing a swell job even. How many birdies can you piss away in a round? And it obviously only happens in the simulator because I don't score many birdies outdoors. In fact, most of the time if I get a birdie outside, it's because we're playing white tees or something and we're driving pretty good that day. That's mostly when I'll see birdies outside. This is a par 5. We don't necessarily need to do any hero shit here. I did pull my 3-wood out of the bag in lieu of the 3 hybrid. And I don't see really any problem with just kind of whacking this ball down the course here. For golf's sake says great birdie. Thank you, my friend. Foof says he used to work with a lady that fully believed full moons were the cause of extra pissed off people we interacted with. I don't know. I don't really know the statistics behind that, but a full moon just means that the Earth is obstructing less of the sun's light than normal. It doesn't mean the moon's any closer or any further away. That's at least what Neil deGrasse Tyson told me. We're in the deep rough, 60 yards out, going 5 yards down. I'm not very worried about it. But Foof, you being a very like a walking encyclopedia, isn't there some data at some level to support people acting weird and more stupid weird shit happening on full moons than on typical days, or is that just kind of people telling themselves what they want to hear? Hole 16. Let's see what we got for old tickety-tocketies here. This was before I was capturing people's screen names. It says, and suddenly the man leaving for work at 4 a.m. is no longer your dad, it's you. I think a lot of guys in the chat, and gals too, if there's any of you in here, you can relate to this. I remember hearing my dad get up for work, put on a pot of coffee, and he'd be gone way before I ever actually got out of bed. And I said, I can't believe he does this every day. I didn't really realize at the time that someday I would have to do the same thing. I don't leave for work at 4 a.m. I leave for work at about 5:45, but the feeling's the same. But I just remember asking myself like how he could do that day after day, and then one day that became me. This one says, Billie Eilish was right when she said you give an ugly guy a chance and he thinks that he rules the world. I was under the impression that the lady folk were more interested in what was in a guy's bank account than necessarily what he looked like, but that's fine. There's always some equalizer. You typically don't see too many guys that are both unattractive and poor with a hot woman. Not saying it never happens, I'm just saying it's more rare. All right, there's a couple of shitty TikToks for you. We're on the 16th hole, we're even. This is FlyinFatKid's event. Let's get a nice little shot into the fairway here. Normally I would bomb the ball. I'd move to the left of the tee box and bomb the ball down toward the green, but I just kind of want to play some nice, easy golf today. I still have a cold. I'm not in the mood. Kind of like your wife, I'm not in the mood. Foof says there's more motorcycle fatalities on full moon nights. I had not heard that stat. I guess I heard that there was more just general tomfoolery on full moons, but I don't know if correlation is causation. Causation is correlation. Guys, the ball striking is no good tonight. We'll do what we can. But I'm having a hard time getting anything to actually go straight down the fairway. That one was really heavy. I took a lot of turf on that. Ball's gonna wanna go left as it is, and I do not know how to play a fade. So, whatever you see is what you're getting here. Really? You guys, this is not going to end up well. I'm wondering if I should just do a sim drop or see. Let's check out the colliders. This ball's just going to ricochet backwards. Let's do what we would do on the real golf course and get out of here like adults and not hit a stupid fucking shot just because we're in a video game. I'm not saying the shot's going to go where it should go, but at least we can try to not hit a stupid ass shot. Everybody's done it. You're in the simulator and you're like, I'm going to hit a 1-iron out of the deep rough. And then you wonder why it only went 6 inches off the ground. Right? Let's just avoid that altogether. I don't have a lot of putting feel today. Some days it's good, some days it's bad, but this just cost us probably a double. All right. Just a regular old ass bogey. Foof says they said it could be to the increased distraction of full moon with light coming through the trees and stuff like that. I'm not sure. I just know that my wife said that there's some like emergency room statistic or something that suggests there's a lot more emergency room activity on full moons or something. She's not like a conspiracy theorist or nothing like that, but she said she read it somewhere. She's way smarter than me. That's going to be OB. Guys, I don't know what it is. I just can't strike a ball. But we'll keep on trying. That was over the top with a closed club face. I don't feel as bad, honestly, because I see these professional golfers doing kind of the same stupid shit that we do. Obviously at a much higher level. Okay, so that would normally have been a pretty good shot. We'd have found our way up to the green, but now we're 2 strokes down, and that ball barely went anywhere, excuse me. And by 2 strokes down, I mean in a bad way. Okay, so that one's wandering left. Way left, actually. Hopefully it's not out of bounds. Oh, no. That sucks. Guys, that's 2 OBs in on one hole. That's really unfortunate. That's a classic turboed talon golf, though. I must say that. That's pretty typical on this channel. Is that going in the water? All right. You guys, I just can't hit a golf ball today. I don't know what it is. Drop ball. Let's get over there. We're not quite to the point where we need to concede out of the hole. I don't know why I can't hit the fucking ball for some reason today. It's breaking. It's a double breaker. Let's just leave it in the cup. Either pushed it or it was a bad read. It was pushed pretty good. Tell you what, I can't wait for dinner. That's pretty much my favorite time of the day. Dinner, dinner, dinner. Okay, Echo Falls, 150 to the pin. We have a little peninsula green here. Nothing, I don't think nothing we can't handle at this distance. If it was like a 200-yard par 3 or something, I'd say you're probably gonna put a couple in the drink. But I don't see any major issues here. That feels short. Ended up being okay. Pin high. What's funny is a hybrid is really no fundamentally different than an iron. But for some reason I'm having trouble. Maybe I'm swinging too hard or something. Okay, I think that concludes FlyinFatKid's league. We were doing really well. We had this blow up hole. It wasn't even a par 5, so we took a 10 on a par 4. Other than that, pretty decent scorecard for a 15 handicap. We didn't have anything that hit the fairway. We did have a lot of putting. Yeah, I mean, this alone, this 0 out of 12 fairways in regulation is a pretty telling stat, but it still wasn't bad. 7 pars, 5 birdies, 4 bogeys is not a crime. 1 double bogey is not a crime, but this 10 on a 4 was what I would consider a crime. Let's go check out Hosel's league. The Protocol Open at Western Hills Country Club. Let's check out some stats. 5,900 yard tees, Thursday pins. 10-foot gimmies, normal, 500 feet above sea level, low stimp. I'd say out of all of those statistics, the one that may get us the worst, if I don't pay attention to it, is going to be the 10 stimp. This is a good looking golf course. You can make any golf course look better by hitting the L button. And checking out those advanced graphics settings, you can see we have a lot better color saturation. Looks like we've got some maybe too much bloom effect going on especially on the distance boxes. That was the 3 hybrid. We should be just fine. Yeah, especially the original version of Oblivion. Foof says it looks like Oblivion. I think the graphics in the remastered version are fine, but I'm a huge Oblivion fan. There's way too much bloom here. You can even see it on the freaking circle around the pin, on the gimme circle. There's a metric shit ton of bloom here. Clear sky. Bloom strength is set to fucking infinity and beyond here. Which I apparently am losing my shit because it didn't even do anything. That changed nothing. So there you have it, folks. Foof says, did you ever play Morrowind? I did play Morrowind. That was my first foray into one of those Bethesda games. Even before I ever played a Fallout game. I still love them. 11-footer, we're breaking to the right. You've really got to question what's going on inside your head when you smoke the ball past the hole on a 10-stimp green. Just going to go ahead and throw that out there. This is playing about, let's call it 130. So Foof, I played Morrowind long enough to figure out that if you pick something up when your cursor's red, the guards are going to come for you. And then I was in a dungeon and I got over encumbered because I was picking up everything. I'd never played a game like that where you could just pick everything in an environment up. So eventually I became over encumbered, and I think I was either, what happens when you're over encumbered? You can't run, you can only walk. And believe it or not, at my young, very impatient age, I don't think I ever picked it up again after that. I couldn't even be bothered to drop stuff on the floor to keep moving. That's embarrassing, but that's what happened. And then you play a few Fallout games, and you play a few, you play Oblivion and Skyrim, and you figure out you can just drop a bunch of junk on the ground and move on with your life. Okay, guys, I had a shot in my mind, and that was about 5 yards off of said shot, but we're probably taking a bogey here. Okay, there, the 10 stimp got us there. Yeah, I never played it long enough to even stack potions, dude. I wanted to go back to it, and I still may, but I just haven't done it yet. In most of those Bethesda Studios games, whether it was Fallout or Morrowind, you'd be having a tough time for a while, and then eventually it would just get to a point where you were one-shotting the shit out of everything. Because I just replayed through Skyrim, I don't know, 8 months or so ago. And you just eventually get to where you're just killing everything. Maybe we can get out of here with a high lofted shot. I'm not sure what happened there. Healy. So we went from Toey to Healy. Guys, golf is an adventure if nothing else, right? $185. We're probably not going to go 185. Foof says that Morrowind will probably get remade in a few years like Oblivion was. I mean, I hope it does. I would like to play it with some quality of life improvements. Crazy Steve, welcome to the chat. What driver and irons am I using? G440 Max 10K driver. And then the irons are Ping I2 beryllium coppers circa 1990 or whatever. Bent to green dot. And that's 3 through sand wedge. If you have any other questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them with a very monotone voice. Foof says Morrowind was like another level compared to Oblivion because the game was begging you to break it with stacking potions and making disgusting spells. Yeah, I've only heard that. I would have to take your word for it because I've never, like I said, I've never actually played it to any sort of level of completion. It's almost like, it almost looks like you're under a black light there with the gimme circle. We might be able to punch through there. Crazy Steve says, have I had those irons since I released? No, sir. Unfortunately, I was converted into a Ping fanboy by, for golf's sake and foof. And I started out with the steel versions, which I got and polished up. And then I started to, there were many people alluding to the fact that the beryllium coppers were a lot more collectible and a little bit more forgiving and soft. So what I did was end up going on eBay and overpaying for those. I think it was 2 through wedge or 1 through wedge, and then I bought the 1 iron and the sand wedge separately to complete the set or something like that. I can't remember. It's been over 2 weeks and I have the attention span of a goldfish. Let's just hit a low lofted ball here and try to roll it up on the green. I wouldn't say I practice this shot very much, as I'm sure many of you do not. If I am not mistaken, that hit a tiny little tree branch. I can't be sure though. The numbers look pretty similar to the launch monitor data, so I think we actually, well, not a bad shot. It wasn't a long enough shot. Kind of like that one. Not a bad shot, just would have been a better shot about 5 yards longer. Foof said minus the lob wedge, which is the most expensive one. Yeah, dude, I didn't say I had the lob wedge. I said 1 through sand wedge. But thank you for correcting me. All right, 10 stimp uphill. We're lucky that's even in the circle. And I will not be making any special effort to get a lob wedge. If I see it on eBay for 100 or 150 bucks, I might pick it up. Five, 299-yard par 4, huh? Yeah, dude, I can't even find a decent priced one from anybody overseas, so that will have to just be a wish for another day. Rip back. Guys, we're a day late and $1 short on a lot of these shots. They're good shots, they're just not, they're not good enough. That's pretty crazy for 10 stimp. That ball's gonna go off the green. That's a nasty little pin position there. I don't think I barely even touched that ball. Right. Uh-oh. Guys, this is a diabolical little pin position here, 10 stimp. We'll eventually get it up there. Okay, there we go. I play a lot of golf outside. I don't really see greens that would do that with a 10 stimp, but who am I, right? That's, I think, a little bit unforgiving. Okay, we're going to be blocked out. We'll start thinking about a punch. We'll just punch right through this gap here. We only got to go 100 yards. Three iron punch shot coming right up. We do got to get some loft on it. We'll see what happens. I'd say that's a pretty good shot. Hopefully we don't get into the same predicament we were just in with that other grain. I can't putt out of the rough. I don't recommend putting anywhere in GS Pro except for the actual green proper because of collider issues. Oh, wow. Guys, these are a little unforgiving for 10 stimp grains, but we should be able to get it up there. 43. Let's see if we can get the yips here. A little breaker, let's aim right there. Was it pushed or was it a bad read? It was pushed about a degree. Okay, we're getting our asses kicked on the greens. What do we got here? 370 yard par 4. This is obviously a dangerous shot. All the clubs behind me are, I've got a couple of sets of 1-length irons, some old Wilson Staff 95s, Mizuno Pro 221, Adams Golf Tight Lies, random shit, Ping G425s, more random shit, couple of TaylorMade burner mini drivers, some old Ram irons over here, and then that set of Ping I2 steels that I just showed you. Guys, this is a terrible idea. Hopefully we're not OB. Looks like we're going to be maybe in the red. I think maybe after we get a couple of cart path bounces. Let's speed this up. It won't even let me fast forward it. That wasn't too bad. And then for some reason we opened a window with the space bar. So there you go. You're all caught up. We've got another punch shot in order here. A lot less gusto. Let's make sure we don't hit this tree. All right, that could have been a good shot, but you're either on the fairway or in the rough. No harm, no foul. Bogey. Got some water right in front of the tee box here. It sort of looks real, but we got to remember what software we're using here. 120. Crazy Steve, I actually have the Jumbo Max grips on my Ping G425, so yeah, I've used them. They're medium, Jumbo Max, ultralight mediums. So I've got a little bit of experience with them. Yeah, Foof likes them, and there's a few other guys that do. I don't care for them, so I have started cutting them off, my clubs. Switched back to another more preferable type of grip. But it just depends on a lot of factors. Do yourself a favor and just, if you're going to try them, if you haven't already, just do it on like one club. Don't do it on your whole set. A little bit more gusto, and that would have been in the cup, I think, for a birdie. It's a pretty uncharacteristic slice, but it's all good. 250 to the pin. Ball's gonna want to go a little right. Hey Hosel. Hosel says, how you liking the Comish's home course? It's really pretty. It's got a couple of greens on it that are a little bit diabolical, but it's a very pretty course. I know I sound like a grade school kid, but I don't know what else to say. Oh, Hosel says he mentioned two of the greens were nasty. I'm hoping I've already seen those two, because some of them have been pretty outside of my skill level at least. But I do appreciate that you went with 10 stimp, because these would just be horrible otherwise. No, honestly, dude, I don't think it sucks. It's just there's been a couple of greens that I didn't appreciate. That's it, dude. I don't think it sucks. How are you coming along? You able to full swing yet, or still healing up? Oh. So 2 holes out of the 9 means 4 holes out of the 18. Yeah, I already found them both, dude, and they both kicked the piss out of me. Crazy Steve says he doesn't think standard grips were made with people with big hands. No. I play a medium or a jumbo sized grip because I got pretty big dick beaters, but those little tiny grips, I personally can't. I don't like them. Let's just leave it at that. That was very slappy. Yeah, that was almost a shank. The greens are a little bit unforgiving. I feel like they're all kind of on a slope. And I'm not sure why hitting my space bar keeps opening that dialog window. That's just going to need to remain a mystery. $13. Hosel says he's still hitting wedges only. Yeah, dude. Like I said earlier, it'll all come back. You're a young guy. If I sustained an injury like that, I might just take up knitting because I'd never recover from it. Well, I already took up knitting, but I'm not very good at it yet. That's not going anywhere near the pin. But this hole says it appreciates my participation and better luck next time. It'd be so frustrating to be a professional golfer and be on one of those off days when there were hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars at stake. I really don't have anything to lose, right? I'm basically playing a video game. But I think that could be very frustrating. Like the opposite of what Anthony Kim did last weekend, right? These guys are talking about Jumbo Max grips. Hopefully you can see the chat. Is my chat showing mostly? Yeah, it's pretty small, especially if you're on a phone, but we'll just let these guys do the back and forth. And I probably am overdue for a shitty TikTok, but I myself am sort of recovering just from something different, from a cold. Not a bad drive, 270. We still got quite a ways to go to get up to the pin. And like I said, I took the 3-wood out of the bag and I'm rocking a G433 hybrid now. It works when I can hit it straight. How about that? I think it's 18 or 19 degrees aloft where the Ping I2 1 iron was 16 degrees. And obviously is going to be a more difficult club to hit. Really good strike. Hopefully there's something open up there. Just a little too much over the top, or perhaps a closed club face, I'm not sure. Looks like a little of both. Good strike though. Good distance from a 3 hybrid. 36 yards in, and then we'll be on the 13th, and I'll see if I have any other TikToks worth watching. Coast to coast, guys. That's a cardinal golf sin. We try not to do that too much. That'll do. Bogey, par. Hosel says, I don't know if you saw, but I built a website aimed to help the entire community. You're up there now? Yeah, dude, I don't think I was tracking that. So you have like a .com website? Dude, I live with my head up my ass. You probably already knew that. Head firmly lodged in ass. I would imagine if you have any of my videos linked on that website, it would be more of a here's how to not do things. That came off the club face okay, but then it did the thing. Rarely see that ball flight outside, but it creeps its head up every so often here in the simulator. Kind of over it at this point. We got a little ways to go here. Slappy over the top again, like I just did with the hybrid. Those shots always go a little further than advertised. Not quite sure why. Something to do with golf physics. Hole 13. Yeah, I said we were going to do a TikTok and then I didn't do it. My bad. Ooh, this green's nasty, dude. We got so lucky there. What, Hosel, what would I do to find the website? Is it like hoselrocketgolf.com? Did you get that lucky to get that web domain? That'd be cool. All right, let's look at a TikTok. We've got I don't know, 4 or 5 holes left. It's approaching dinner time. I'm guessing we're not connected here. Connect, connect, connect. Are we connected or not? I gotta find some better casting software. Guys, I screen captured this a fucking hot minute ago. I don't know if it's any good or not. It says women are opening businesses and buying private jets while you're over there learning how to speak softly just so a man will marry you. Sis, are you okay? I'm guessing she's talking about a specific individual or a loud minority of people, because I'd say some women are opening businesses and buying private jets. Obviously, that's millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I'd say some women are learning how to speak softly just so a man will marry them. But I don't think this is the majority of people, or this is what's going on. Also, This woman has got borderline too much lip filler here. If you look at that suck hole right there, probably a little bit too much lip filler. She doesn't look like she's old enough to even need lip filler, but I won't pretend to understand how the lady folk think or work. I just know what makes mine tick. This person's saying, I realize I have only known being a mom since I was just barely 20. I never really had a chance to just grow into myself. Poor decision making. Hopefully that isn't one of those floating sinks, or hopefully she doesn't break the whole fucking counter off the wall and go toppling down. But if you guys haven't picked up on it already, I'm pretty much all about accountability. And if she's been a mom since she was 20, that means she chose to have unprotected sex, or chose to let the man empty himself inside of her. So while it is sad and she looks like she's kind of been out of shape about it, she clearly did that to herself. So I'd say do better next time, I guess. Simgolf.tv. Okay. I'll check it out, dude. I'll check it out. I need something different in my life. These sim golf videos just kind of all seem to kind of flow into one another. Like my shit is boring as fuck, for lack of a better term. So I'll go check it out, sir. Okay, so we had one ball went to the right, one ball went to the left. It's kind of like throwing darts at a dartboard. I'd say we're just probably good to stay centered in the fairway and maybe try to the best we can to steer away from hazards, but the ball's kind of going wherever it wants today. So not a lot of point in getting trying to aim too much. Simgolf.tv. Yeah, dude, I'll have to check that out. Not on the pin, but I'm not a professional golfer, so I shouldn't expect to be on the pin. You guys, this green raped our assholes the last time around. So what I'm going to do is do what I did before. I'm going to aim real hard to the right and just give it a gentle push and a mild arc and get it to stop somewhere in the big circle. Probably not the little one. Okay, this is exactly what happened last time. Let's see if it stops. All right, we got it to stop in the circle that time. If you can lag that putt in to the hole, you are a golf god. We're supposed to get 6 inches of snow tonight here in northern Utah. I'll believe it when I wake up and see it. .90. We're playing 100 yards uphill here on 15. Let's just give it a little whack here. And give it a little whack we did. That felt almost heely. Oh yeah, that was almost a shankety doodly doo there. We got another leaker pretty hard from right to left. We'll just aim way up here and try to get the ball to stop in the circle, because I've learned better than to try to fuck with these greens. Little too much sauce there. I would say that was a decent read, but not a good stroke. And let's play this hole different than we did last time. Let's just play it smart. Try to get up here in this region. There's just a lot going on here that I don't really want to deal with. 3 hybrid. Much more enjoyable club to hit than the 1 iron by a long shot, by a large margin. Okay guys, we're headed toward the hazard that's better than headed toward OB. Let's see if we can punch. We should be able to punch through to the left here. If you guys play on courses with lots of trees, I would suggest to at least practice your punch shots from time to time. You don't need to be able to put it next to the pin like Tiger Woods does, but if you don't have a shot out of this area, you're going to find yourself in some tough positions if you play courses that have trees lining the fairways. All you want to do is get yourself somewhere where you can make another shot. If you're able to hit a punchy fade or a punchy draw, then you're a golf god and you're not in my chat right now. You know what I'm saying? You're probably not in my chat right now. That's going a little right, but it may be near the pin. It's not technically on the green. So here you make a decision whether you chip or you putt. I'm just going to chip. Bogey there because we had to punch out from the trees. Still better than taking a sim drop. You're going to burn a stroke either way, but at least you moved up a little bit. Okay, this gal's eating some candy or something. She says, "Nah, sis, you can have the man with the vodka cran and grape. Mine's in the corner at the pool table with an unlit Marlboro Red on his lip and a yellow belly." Okay. I have never drank vodka, cran, and grape. I vape. Okay, I said grape. So the dude's drinking a vodka and cran and he's got a vape. This guy's wanting to smoke a Marlboro and has a yellow belly. You guys, whatever floats your boat. The guy who's smoking the Marlboros is probably not going to live as long, although I still think if I'm not mistaken, they're evaluating how harmful vape is or is not to the human respiratory system and other organs. There you go. Oh, this lady's making some fashion statements here with the hat and the Jimmy whatever glasses. What's she saying? So she's got her TikTok text on a slight angle here, which you don't see very much. She says, wait, what do you mean I'm the only one who fumbled this? Fumbled, this ain't football. But if we are using football terms, I call a penalty for the disrespect that's been shown. Okay, guys, there's zero context here. I don't know who this girl is. I'm sorry you had to see that. There's no context here. Very bad fashion sense, though. Maybe our last one of the night. My husband gets up at 4:45 every morning for work and wakes me up with him, so then I can't go back to sleep and I have to get up for work at 6:30. So why don't you guys sleep in different rooms on weekdays, or maybe wear some earplugs or like an eye cover or something like you would on an airplane? You both have to go to work. That's probably not an option. And instead of bitching about it to the TikTok community, why don't you maybe set up a bed or a fold out or something in another room and sleep there on weekdays? I don't see why this is our problem on TikTok. Foof says vodka cran is a Cape Cod. Okay, so a vodka cran is also called a Cape Cod, I think is what Foof's saying. I'll do shots of vodka here and there. I'm 45 years old, so that don't happen too much anymore, but vodka is not my hard liquor of choice. And I usually just drink liquor straight, although vodka and cran does sound delicious. At least until you're vomiting it back up later in the night when you've had too many of them, right? Am I right or am I right, guys? Not a good shot, but a good result. You can see from the replay that was almost a shank. Makes the very familiar slappy noise. It just happened to go where it needed to go by virtue of pure fucking luck. Let's bend this ball over to the cup. We need to hit it about 12 or 13 feet of feel. Very close. It was poorly read though, because if the ball, we want the ball to die near the cup. We don't want to rely on the ball going in the hole because that ball was struck too hard. Because you want to leave yourself with like a 2-foot putt. So not my best work. Here we are on the 18th. We're not doing too bad. I think we had a string of bad holes there, but the back nine's been much better. Let's go ahead and finish the round out. Foof says that's what happens when you drink too many Long Island iced teas. Are you talking about puking them up? Because that's what happens when you drink too many of any alcoholic beverage. Or you eat spaghetti too fast with garlic bread. Either one. Okay, not a bad shot there. We're going to be hitting from near a cart path. 250 to the pin, 260, 270 out of the rough. Let's just get up as close as we can to the pin and take our third shot to get on the green. Guys, I think we did something very similar to this. I think we did something very similar to this on the last round we played. So I'm clearly not learning from my mistakes. That was pretty heavy. We'll see what it does. Not bad. Birdie look. We just need to get it up in the gimme circle. I don't think I can get this in the hole, but I'll try. It's uphill, breaking to the left. Let's just do that. Okay, that is not a 2-foot putt for par. All right, guys, 2 decent rounds. That was a par 71. Did we do anything egregious here? Double, double. So we didn't have any holes that were triples, but we did have a couple doubles. I'd say if you were walking off the golf course with this score, you'd be very happy. Stats are, they're okay. This is kind of a take it easy day. So outside of these 2 double bogeys, that's a really good round. Let's check the chat, and then I'm going to get on out of here. He says Long Island's don't taste like booze, so they sneak up on you. Yeah, dude, been there, unfortunately. That's why they banned the original 4 Locos, because you could just drink one and then have the urge to do a backflip off a house roof into a pool. Unfortunately, been there too. Little too much social media-ing for my old Gen X ass, so I somehow am getting Discord notifications again, and I kind of want to go in and shut them off, but sometimes useful things come through on Discord. Rarely do they. I need to go check out simgolf.tv. You guys, I appreciate you being in the chat. I appreciate you participating. Foof says 4 Locos taste like shit, but they got you there. This is true. This is true. Guys, I don't have any more energy to continue this live stream. I'm tired and I'm hungry. Like I said, thanks for joining in. I'll probably see you tomorrow. I think we're going to get a few inches of snow, so probably not going to be playing outside as much for the next week or so. Or because we're in Utah, it could be 60 degrees tomorrow. I do not know. Regardless, you guys, thanks for hanging out in the chat. This has been a Turbo Talon Golf production, and I'll see you.